US131, Michigan. Just sad. Just really, really sad. All right, so, man, there's not a lot to say about this because I had a lot of problems. And I know this is nothing new, but once you resolve one problem, it seems like another one pops up, as always. So, it was freaking cold there, man. I mean, really, really cold. At nighttime, it was like 40 degrees. It was unbelievable. So what this means is that the cars are going to be cold, the engines are going to be cold. It was very hard to get anything up to temperature that I would normally run, which is opposite of the way St. Louis was, which was too hot. So one extreme to the other. So my first qualifying run, I couldn't get it up to temp, and I probably messed up a little bit is I I drove around the pits a little bit, but not enough to get everything warmed up, like the transmission and the rear end. And so my first run, I went out there. This is what happened. So, oh my gosh. That is the fastest I have ever been in that car. And I can only attribute it to the fact that it was so cold out and that I didn't get everything warmed up the way it should. So I did not go into the staging lanes in the burnout box with a temperature that I normally run. It was probably a good 30 degrees lower. And I'm going to also say the transmission and the rear end was that way, so it changed the way the car was going to take off and stuff, and it did. Best 60-foot time in that car so far, best ET so far. I can't even remember, 972 I think it was. So what happened? Why did it go so fast? Didn't have any additional weight and all that stuff. It pretty much set up the same as it was at St. Louis, but what happened? Interesting thing. Before I went into Q2, I decided we need to add some weight and we need to change the shift point in it. So I added 200 pounds of my own weight, and then my teammate gave me 50 extra pounds to put on the opposite side of the car to kind of offset it a little bit, since it was all, the 200 pounds was all on the passenger side. Took and shifted or changed my shift point to 6,400 down from 6,800. Watch this. So, as you can see, I red lit, but it wasn't because I red lit because I was antsy on the button. it was because, for whatever reason, it would not stay in first gear. And when I hit the trans brake button and gassed it, it just took off. So it didn't even give me any time. I pretty much just blew the whole thing. That was not good. I couldn't figure out, why it wanted to start in second and not in first. Went back to the pits and tested it there. Checked my settings. Changed my solenoid that shifts into second gear, thinking maybe it was too tight. It was fine. Trans brake was fine. Did a little trans brake kit in the pits. It was fine. So I went out there on my third race, my third qualifier, and this is what happened. Well, damn it, it happened again. Before I went to the beams, I did another test, trans brake test, gave a little gas, put the trans brake button on, it held fine. But when I went to go to the beams, and once it was time to hit the trans brake button, gas, it took right back off again. Could not figure it out for the life of me what the hell was going on. My only assumption was that the trans brake solenoid was not working properly. Everything else seemed to be the way it should be. Could not figure it out. So I left it out on the pavement in the pits, jacked it up in the front, and you're going to find out when you change the solenoid, transmitted brake solenoid, you want to jack it up from the rear, not the front. I didn't know that. In my 3 years of doing this, I've never had to change a trans brake solenoid. My first transmission already had it on it, and when I had Deshawn Transmissions build my second one, it was already installed also. So I decided to go ahead and change it out. I had a new one sitting in the trailer already. So I went ahead and decided to change it out. And I'm out in the pavement, which is half of the road. It's that we didn't have pavement in our pits. It was the actual road. So anybody that was going to drive by me was going to have to, squeeze by. And I'm out there on that side also of traffic. So I get up underneath there with my moving blanket, and I start to disconnect this thing and turn it out. It just screws in. And I was screwing it back out. And stupid me. I got the thing to pop out, and transmission fluid was draining everywhere. I mean, talking everywhere. I grabbed the new one out real quick and tried to get it in the hole. Could not get it in the freaking hole. It would not turn, and it was so slippery, it kept on falling out of my hands. Plus, I got this transmission mount going across it, and it's up on top of it, kind of, so it was making it very awkward. I got to the point where I was putting my thumb on the hole. No one was around. No one of my crew was around to help me. And I am under that thing cussing like a sailor, and it is just everywhere. I mean, it looks like a gallon of transmission fluid on the pavement, and it's soaked into the moving blanket and to my jacket that I had on, my race jacket. Long story short, I was Corey finally came around, and I told him I was done. I was just done because I was already to my wits' end here. He was able to go in there with clean hands and get it to screw in. By that time, most of it had already come out anyways. And in reality, it was probably only a quart of transmission fluid, but still, it was a mess underneath there. So got it set up, got it in there. I happened to decide that I'm going to check my settings for my shift point again. I don't know why I decided to check it. I was going to leave it at 6,400 and all the weight. I had, for whatever reason, thought to check it. And I realized, without thinking that it was a problem, I realized that the setting was changed from 8-cylinder to 6-cylinder on it. And so when I went there to my elimination run, well, this is what happened. So it takes off right, it holds, it's perfect, it's great, and it's all on me. Now, granted, my first run, the fastest run I've ever been in that car, and runs 2 and 3 were dead runs. I did not get any data off of it because the trans brake would not hold. So I don't even know the added weight, what it was going to do for eliminations. And cruising down there, I'm going to guess at this point, my computer prediction was that I was still, even with all that weight, was still going to run a 92. 8 hundredths faster than I needed to be. So my game plan was I was going to have to let out at some point in there. And I did that. I blipped the throttle one time. Problem was I blipped it too soon. I blipped it more at the 8th mile than towards the end where I should have done it. I let Arnie nudge past me a little bit, and at that point, I was already back in the throttle. I was going to push him out because I knew I was fast. And so if he was in front of me, I was going to push him out, and he was going to break out also. And I was going to let back out at the end, which I didn't do. But lo and behold, I got like a 10-14. And so him being in front of me hurt me because he won, because he didn't break out. But at that point, I was too slow. So doing a blip at the 8th mile, mistake number one. Not being able to repass him, that was another mistake. But he was already too fast at that point. I couldn't get him back around him. So another win for Arnie. Good job, buddy. And if you looked at my last video, you know, if you saw the thumbnail, it said it was for sale. I feel like doing that every once in a while. But it's not for sale. I'm going to get a hold of this thing one day. We got one more race coming up in Bowling Green for the Nostalgia Nationals. And we're going to get a hold of this thing. We're really close. We're right there. And one of these days, we're going to get there. If you guys like listening to what we talk about, and it's just us BSing about our races, like and subscribe, comment, man. It makes us help us grow some, and we'll continue to bring in new stuff if you like it for us old people that still race. Yeah. Anyways, see you next time.